Hey, here we are doing the sample questions for the Digital SAT 2023, released by the College Board for Math. We'll be doing around 18 questions today. As you'll be doing these questions with me, make sure that you pause video before each question and try it yourself before working it out with me. Let us start. The first question here, give it a try. F of x given, g of x given, they're expecting us to evaluate that. So I'll evaluate f of 2, which is just 2 plus 7. I'll plug in x as 2, right? So that's 9. G of 2 is, I'll plug in 2 for x. G of 2 gives me a 14, 7 times 2. Now that I have that, I'll just evaluate what's 4 times f of 2, and so that's 4 times 9 minus 14. That's 36 minus 14. That's 22, which is your answer. Moving to the next one. The y-intercept of the graph we need to work out. If you're my student, you know that there's just one thing which strikes when I hear the word y-intercept. Remember, x is 0. Y-intercept always means that x is 0, right? Because no matter what your graph looks like, it just could be a straight line or it could be a curve. The y-intercept, the point where it cuts the y-axis, will have the x coordinate 0. So we just plug in here x as 0 and find the y-intercept, and you realize it's minus 32. So the coordinate point is 0 minus 32, or the answer is here, minus 32. Give it a try. We need to evaluate the slope of this graph. So on this graph, we are mapping the cost on the y-axis and the video games on the x-axis. Think about it. What would the slope be for this graph? The slope would mean the additional cost for every new game that you buy. For example, let's say you already had 3 games for which you paid $175. Now if you're buying one additional game, you're paying an additional $25, which is the slope and is the interpretation, so it's option A. Slope tells you how much each game costs. Hope that makes sense. By the way, if I ask you, what is the y-intercept represent here? What would you say? The y-intercept of this graph. The answer is here, one of these options. The y-intercept would represent the initial cost. So that's option B. Yeah, but they're not asking for it. So for now, it's just option A. Give it a try. Now there are 2 ways to do it. The better way is just to substitute these values and check which one is working. Just put the given coordinate points in your inequality and see if they're working. For example, let's check 2 minus 1. If I plug in 2 minus 1 in this inequality, I'll get minus 1 on the left side. On the right side, I get minus 8 plus 4. So I get minus 1 minus 4. Minus 1 is bigger than minus 4. But they're saying it should be less. So option A does not work. Let's check for option B. Similarly, you'll just plug it in. Plug in 2 and 1. So we get 1 is less than -8 plus 4. We get 1 is less than -4. Again, that doesn't work. Oh, by the way, I did a little error here. There's a small error. So -1, the previous part, when I was plugging a -1, this would be a oh yeah, we're good. It's fine. So yeah, this was right. So it's -8 plus 4 -4. This is a -4 as well, because we're putting values which is not true again. So it's not option B though. Check for option C. This was option B. This was option B. This is option C. Now if you plug in 0, 5, we get 5 is less than 4, which again does not work. This is not true. So it should be option D. Let's check for option D. Plug it in. We get 0 is less than 16 plus 4, which is right. 0 is less than 20. So it works. This was the fastest and the safest way to find your answer, by plugging it in. There is another method, and that is by actually thinking how the graph looks like. For that, you can use your on-screen calculator for that, which you will be having for the digital set. So I'll be using Desmos. Let's plot this equation and see what are my solutions. So it's y less than -4x plus 4. These are all my solution sets, and I can see only -40 lies in my shaded region. All the other point will be lying towards the right. Hence, it's option D. You can use whichever you want. I personally prefer option 1. I mean method 1. Question 5. Here they're telling you that there are 2 polygons and an equation for the perimeters have been given. So let us see. They're telling us that perimeter of figure A plus perimeter of figure B is 63, because the sum of the perimeters is 63. Well, and they also tell you that 3x plus 6y is 63. Now you can compare. They're asking you to interpret what 6 could mean. So if we compare perimeter of B with 6y, 6 would actually be the side length, because perimeter is number of sides times side length. For a polygon, it is that, right? For example, a square has 4 sides, and let's say it's 2 centimeters for each side. I know that perimeter will be 2 times 4, right? So it's the same here. Perimeter is side length times number of sides. If y is the number of sides of B, x has to be the side length. So if y is number of sides, x has to be the side length. Hence it's option A. Oh yeah, this one is good. This is testing knowledge of simultaneous equations, if you know how to make them and solve them. So let us see. There are 2 stores. This store A and this store B, and they are charging for berries differently. So let's call raspberries as R and blackberries as B. For store A, raspberries cost 5.5 and blackberries cost 3. We also know that store A together has, charges $37. So we can just say that the cost of raspberries times the number of raspberries plus the cost of blackberries times the number of blackberries gives you the total cost, which is 37. Similarly, we can do it for store B, which is 6.5 for raspberries and 8 for blackberries. Should give us 66. So we have two equations and two variables which we can solve. You can use your calculator here to find the common solution. I'll use Desmos again. So I'm plotting these equations in Desmos. The idea is these equations will probably give me two linear equations, right? Two straight lines where they intersect. That will be my solution. So let's see. If I treat R as X and B as Y, I get 5.5X plus 3Y is equal to 37. That's my first equation. And second equation is 6.5X plus 8Y is 66, right? So those are my two equations and they intersect at that point, which should be my solution. Remember, here I am plotting raspberries on the x-axis and blackberries on the y. So in the question here, they were now asking for number of blackberries, so it should be 5. It is 5. Question number 7. Give it a try. Now there are a couple of ways to do it. The best way here is to do it by analysis, as in thinking logically. Now think about it. X squared plus 55. Now x squared is always going to be a non-negative number, right? So x squared has to be greater than or equal to 0. It cannot be negative. And if it cannot be negative, then the minimum value will be 55. So the answer is 55. I hope you got that. Because a squared number can always be, it will have to be more than 0. So no matter what you add to it, it will make it larger than 55. So the minimum value will be when x is 0, giving you 55. For no other value, you'll get a minimum value. So that's method 1. Method 2 is to treat this like a quadratic equation and find the vertex. So we can use a calculator for that. I know that that's just an equation and I can just find the y value, right? I can find the minimum value. So it is y is x squared plus 55. Let's see, yeah. So that's my parabola, right? That's the equation, y is x squared plus 55. I can find its vertex, which should be the minimum value as well, which is 55. So remember, be resourceful, make the use of maximum resources. If you are allowed the use of calculator, then make use of it as much as you can. Not at the cost of time, but so both approaches are good here. Question 8. Oh, I like this one. An equation has been given and they're asking us to find what A times B could be. you've been given a couple of insights that these coordinate points lie on this equation, lie on this graph. So I know that, they should satisfy the equation, right? So let's plug 0 and 10 in the equation h of x. So I'll get 10 equals to a to the power 0 plus b. So that becomes 10 equals to 1 plus b, or you get b is 9. So that's your first insight. Similarly, I can do it for the second coordinate point here. It's minus 2n 325 by 36. If I plug this point in for h of x, I'll get 325 by 36 is equal to a to the power minus 2 plus b, right? And now I can work out the value of a by plugging in the value for b as 9. So e to the power minus 2 is just 1 by e squared. That's 325 by 36. I can do it. So 325 by 36 minus 9 is 1 by e squared. So either you can use a calculator at this point, or you could do it on your own. I think I'll just do it by myself. So that's 36 times 9 is 324. So I get 325 minus 324 by 36 is 1 by e squared. Or I get e squared as 36 and I get e as 6. So if I got b as 9 and if I got a as 6, then my answer here is 9 times 6, which gives me my 54, which is indeed your answer here. Question 9. This is an easy one. Try doing it. They're asking for the distinct real solutions. So remember, if you have a squared number on the left side, it can never ever be a negative number. So there is no solution to this. You cannot have a value for x for which when you square you get a negative number, right? If you square a number, you always get a positive number. Hope you got that. Or else, if this doesn't make sense, you can just plug this in your calculator. So we can try that as well. So the equation is x minus 1 the whole squared is minus 4. You would realize we don't get a graph because there is no solution. So that's another way to do it. So we've done 9 questions and there are 9 more questions to go. Yeah, we're doing 18 questions. Now remember, these are released by the college board, so I'll also be putting the link in description. You can even check that out yourself. And hope you're trying it along. Which expression is equivalent? So we just want to simplify and see what are we getting here. So I'll take a common denominator and cross multiply. I took a common denominator because I see all options have a common denominator. So to get that, I knew that this step had to be there. Now I'll take the cross product, right? Because that's what you do when you take a common denominator. You can simplify it and Your answer will be in the next step. The 4x vanishes away. You get 4 plus 5. That's 9. So that's 9 by that. Option A works. Question 11. For this, f of 0 has been given. They're asking us to find f of 2. Given that for every time x increases by 1, y decreases by 80%. So what we do is, let's think about the values this x and y's will take for this function. So it's been given to us that when x is 0, y is 86. When x is 1, y will decrease by 80%. So that's 86 minus 80% of 86. That's the usual way, but I don't like to do that. The shortcut method, which I've covered in my notes, is if you're decreasing something by 80%, all you should do is multiply 86 by 1 minus that percentage. Right. Obviously that's much faster, so you do 86 times 1 minus 0.8 or 86 times 0.2. So that's the value of 1. They're asking for f of 2. We can just repeat this step once more. So for 2, I'll have this number and I'll just multiply it by 0.2 twice because I'm again decreasing by 80%, right? So I'll use calculator for that and I'll find it. 86 times 0.2 times 0.2, 3.4 is your answer, which is indeed the given solution as well. That was it. Question 12, give it a try. In the xy plane, a line with the equation intersects a parabola at exactly one point. If the parabola has that equation where b is a positive constant, what is the value of b? Well, there are a couple of ways to do it. The first way is by using your on-screen calculator, right? So you can say, let me map both of these equations here. So 2y is 4 point. By the way, I hope you're visualizing what's happening, right? Let me help you. So this is an equation of a horizontal line, right? We can rewrite this equation as y is 2.25. So that's, if this is 1, this is 2. 2.25 means a horizontal line passing through 2.25 on the y-axis. This is a downward parabola. I know it's downward because the coefficient of x squared is minus. Now, if they're intersecting at exactly one point, I know that my parabola has to look like that. Something like that, hasn't it? Has to intersect at a unique point. So let us see if I can use my calculator to do that. So that's my first equation. I see it's a horizontal line. Let's try to graph this. Y is minus 4x squared plus bx. Did you see that? So b is a parameter here, as we say. For different values of b, our curve, a graph takes different values. So I need to find that value for which it's like that. So I can just use my slider and check that when b is 6, the intersection point is unique. So that's my answer. So make the most of your on-screen calculator. There's 6. If you want to do this question by hand, you can do it by using the discriminant thing, right? Let me do that too quick. So you have two equations. We'll need to find a point of intersection as well. Equate these two equations. So I say, let 2.25 be equals to minus 4x squared plus bx. Now what you can do is, you can write it like a quadratic. So I get minus 4x squared plus bx minus 2.25 is 0. Now this equation has one solution. That means the discriminant must be 0. Only then a quadratic has one solution. That means b squared minus 4ac is 0. Now I can locate b, a and c, plug it in here, work out the value of b as 6. Both approach work. I personally like the first approach. It's faster. Question 13. Looks like this is quite easy. A line of best fit has been given. At x is 32, which is the closest value to the line of best fit. So at 32, we locate the corresponding y value in the line of best fit. We get a little more than 2. So it should be 2.4. That was a quick one. Question 14. In a group of 40% of the items are red. Of all the red items in the group, 30% also have stripes. What percentage of the items in the group are red and have stripes? So let us say that our group has X items. 40% of the items are red. That means 0.4x are red, because that's 40% of x, right? Now 30% of these red items also have stripes. Let me do stripes in pink. So that means 30% of this, so that's 0.3 times 0.4x is striped. So that means 0.12x is striped. You need to work out what percentage does this striped items make of the entire group size. So you can just ratio them out, or you can just also directly see that we are multiplying this with x and 0.12x. So it must be 12%. Otherwise, you can also always just calculate the actual percentage by using the percentage formula. It gives you 12%. So striped items make 12% of the entire group. That was a quick one too. The density of a wood is 353 kilograms per cubic meter. A sample of this type of wood is in the shape of a cube and has a mass of 345. To the nearest 100, travel the length of 1 inch. So what is 1? Let's see. Mass, density. There's just one formula which strikes me, right? Remember, density is mass over volume. And you're probably using this, I can find the volume, because density and mass have been given to me. So 353 is equal to 345 over volume of the cube. So volume will be 345 over 353, which is 0.977. Now remember, this is the volume of a cube. They're asking me to find length of one edge of this sample. So this is cube volume of a cube. To find what the volume, the length of one side is, I'll just use the formula for the side length, right? I know that for a cube, the volume is given by side cube, which I worked out as 0.977. That means side cubed is 0.977. I can work out the side length by cube rooting it. So the cube root of 0.977 should be my answer. I'll raise it to the power of 0.1/3. I get my answer as 0.99, which I have as an option. So yeah, it's indeed that. Hope you're also visualizing what's happening, right? A wooden cube was given and we were asked to find the length of one side of this cube. Given that we now have its density, we have its mass. We first worked out its volume. From volume, we worked out the side length. Question 16. Give it a try. Two nearby trees are perpendicular to the ground. One of these trees is 10 feet tall and has a shadow that is 5 feet long. So let's visualize. There is a tall tree who is casting a shadow of length 5 feet. So that's 10 feet is the height, and they tell us the shadow is 5 feet. Let me make the shadow smaller. They tell us that there's another tree. It only has a shadow of 2 feet long. So probably there's another tree which is a little short. And only has a 2 feet long shadow. And let me make it smaller. Yeah, this looks more like it. We need to find, this is 2 feet. We need to find how tall the other tree is. Easy one. You can think of similar triangles, right? This triangle will be similar to this triangle. Remember, the shadow would cast an equal angle with the ground because the sun would be at the same spot, right? The sun would cast the same angle here because it's very far. Similar triangles, we can just ratio out the sides. So 10 by 5 is x by 2. So x will be 4, which is indeed your answer. Question 17. The length of a rectangle's diagonal is 5√17. So that is given to me as 5√17. And the length of the rectangle, the shortest side is 5. So that is 5. What is the length of the rectangle's longest side? Super easy, right? We can just use Pythagoras theorem in this triangle. So remember, Pythagoras theorem says that a squared plus b squared is c squared. I need to find b here, the length of the longer side. So 25 plus b squared is 5 root 17 squared. So 25 plus b squared is 5 root 17 squared is 25 times 17, right? Root 17, if you square it, root cancels out. Root 17 gives you 17. So b squared will be 25 times 17 minus 25, which gives you 400. B squared is 400. B must be 20. This was a simple application of the Pythagoras theorem. On to the last one. Oh, I like this one. Remember, these questions if you are very good at, right? We just use the fraction concept. I hope if you've been my student, you know how I like to solve these questions by thinking of ratios. If the circumference is 2 pi r and the angle here is, let's say, 90. If they're asking for this arc length, I'll just say I want 1/4 of my circle. I just want 90 by 360 of my circumference. That would give me my arc length. Something similar we'll do here. We've been given a circle and points A and B are inside on the circle. So let's say that's A and that's B. The measure of the arc AB is 45, so that's 45. They also tell me that the arc is 3 inches long. So this thing is 3 inches. They're asking for us to find the circumference. Remember, I'll use the same formula. I'll say 45 by 360 times my circumference gives me my arc length. I'll just plug in the numbers now. Right. So 45 by 360 times the circumference is arc length, which is 3. So the circumference must be 3 times 360 by 45, which is that will go in 9 5s are 9, 45 8s are, I get 24, which is indeed my answer. Great. So let's keep it till here. We've done 18 questions for the Digital SAT 2023. Hope you enjoyed this and you're getting most out of it. See you in the next video.